Hi, folks. I think we're live. Sorry for the delay. A little bit of a technical issue. First time doing this virtual tasting. So, welcome to Sip with Somm4All. Hopefully this is working, and hopefully you can hear me. This will be the first in probably 4 or 5 series, hopefully, where I'll be showcasing local businesses. These are very extraordinary times that we're all in. And as Somm4All is a hospitality business itself, and basically depends on close proximity to people for fundraising events, corporate events, guided tastings, customer appreciation stuff, everything in my world's kind of come to a big halt. So as I sit here on the acreage, waiting for COVID-19 to come to an end, I thought, how can I help out some of my fellow businesses in the hospitality industry? So I came up with this idea. Full disclosure, I am the wine agent for Karlo Estates, a winery of Prince Edward County out here in Eastern Ontario. So the first 2 parts of the series is going to focus on Karlo Estates. So I have that beautiful banner behind me there, depicting the back end of the beautiful barn. I'm going to try and keep these to about 20 minutes. The first series we're going to do today is going to focus on 4 of Karlo's wines. Part 2 will take place Tuesday at 7 p.m., hopefully via the laptop if I can figure that out. If not, we'll go back to the old iPhone. So, thank you again for joining in. I really appreciate those of you that are with me here today. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Paul. I am the founder of Somm4All, which is a sommelier services company based in Eastern Ontario. My home base is about 20 miles or 30 kilometers east of Ottawa. I'm a business professional that spent 23 years in the corporate world and found myself a little while ago with the opportunity to pursue a passion of mine, which is the adult beverage world. So, I went back to school. I became an accredited sommelier. I have my WSET Level 3 award in wine, which is the Wine Spirits Education Trust, and I have a Level 1 award in sake. So I talk wine, I talk beer, I talk spirits, sake, I talk it all. Thank you very much for the hearts and the thumbs up. Good to know you guys can hear me. Hi, Diane. Hey, Sax is watching. Good stuff. I'm on the phone, so if I don't respond to you guys right away, it's a little far away, I apologize, but thank you for joining. So, for those of you that are here with me, I have a little giveaway thanks to Karlo Estates. It's a beautiful Founder's Estate sommelier corkscrew that's modeled after the one that Richard Karlo himself was using. And I'll try and zoom that in without blowing up your screens too much. So this is a robust piece, beautiful piece. I believe it's a $60 value, and thank you so much to Sherry, Karlo, and Sax for donating this. So everyone that says hi and that's checking in here, your names will all go into a draw for one of these. So let's begin with Karlo Estates. For those of you that don't know about Karlo Estates, it is a premium winery located in Prince Edward County. It's a vegan winery, so everything within the confines of the winery is vegan. The wines are vegan. The labels on which the ink is printed on the bottles is vegan. The ink is vegan. They're an award-winning winery. They've won awards on a national and international level. They are certified vegan by a Canadian body called VeggieCert. And they use time and patience to settle down their wines. And that's going to lead into what is a vegan wine. So for those of you that aren't familiar with what makes a wine vegan, towards the final stages of wine production, a lot of wineries use animal byproducts to help clarify the wines. So they'll use things like isinglass, or they'll use animal proteins, and isinglass is fish gallbladder. Some wineries will use blood, and they put that in there to pick up any of the microscopic little bits that may have gotten through the filtering process. Sherry Karlo has been a vegan since college. Animals are people to Sherry, and there was no way that Sherry was ever going to be a part of any type of wine production that included animals. So when Sherry met Richard Karlo, her husband Richard Karlo, back in 2000, I believe, Richard was an amateur winemaker, and she essentially told Richard at that time, if you want me to drink your wine, it's got to be vegan. And so what Karlo Estates uses is time. They let the wine settle for the most part. And they, what we call, rack off the wines after everything is settled in the tanks or the barrels. If there is the need to find the wines or to try and go after any microscopic bits, they use bentonite clay. It's a natural product that imparts no flavors into the wine. And it's old school winemaking, so no animals harmed in the production of any of the Karlo wines. Prince Edward County is where Karlo Estates is located. They're located in Wellington on Danforth Road in Prince Edward County. Prince Edward County is a bit of a special place. You know, Niagara in Ontario gets a lot of love, but Prince Edward County is a very special place. The soil itself and the makeup of Prince Edward County lies atop an ancient riverbed and a glacial deposit. And that allows for soil types to be very, very similar to what you're finding in Burgundy, France. So it's a premier place for winemaking. And when Richard and Sherry were looking to officially move into the world of winemaking, Richard was an engineer by trade, and Sherry worked in boutique advertising. And in 2005, they found the site, which is now Karlo Estates. They love the soil. They love what it could do. It was close to the water. It's about 1.5 miles from the water, so that allows for some climatic and moderating effects to work its magic on the wines. And they bought the place in 2005, started planting vines in 2006, and I believe it was 2010 when they were open to the public. I mentioned before that Richard, an engineer by trade, was an amateur winemaker. He caught the attention of wine judges of Canada with his winemaking, and they were so impressed that not only did they ask him to become a wine judge of Canada, which at the time he was the 32nd, there was only 32 in all of Canada, they also told him that his wine was so good that he should forget about the engineering world and move on to winemaking. And they took the leap. Unfortunately, in 2014, Richard Karlo passed away. He had colon cancer, and after a brave and relatively quick battle, passed away. And Sherry has kept the winery going and kept the same mindset and the same mantra that her and Richard had together. And I'm very proud to be working with those folks. Wonderful, wonderful people. Sherry and her fiance now, Sax, working to just wonderful, wonderful people. Their head winemaker, lead winemaker, is Derek Barnett. For those of you unfamiliar with that name, Derek Barnett. Derek is an award-winning winemaker here in Canada. It just, you know, the list is too long to list of all the accomplishments that Derek has. He's been making wine for 25 years. Does a lot of it by palate. That's how Karlo wines are developed, is really by taste and by virtue, and just outstanding winemaking. His assistant, Spencer Meyer, young gun, up-and-comer. Spencer and Derek are what I refer to as the dynamic duo of a winemaking team there at Karlo. Karlo wines are not available at the LCBO. They are available at the winery. In Eastern Ontario, they're available by calling me. You can get in touch with me. Karlo also ships all throughout Ontario. So in these times when we're housebound, we can still get you quality, premium, vegan wines right to your doorstep in a convenient and safe manner. And I'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to the end of our tasting. So enough of me rambling. Everyone's sitting there. If you got a wine glass, join in, and if you don't, just hold up your hand just for fun. We're going to dive in with the first wine, which is Karlo Estates Three Witches. And I'll hold this up so you guys can see it, and hopefully you can see it there. So Three Witches, it's a blend of 3 VQA varietals: Sauvignon Blanc, Gewürztraminer, and Semillon. And now, most of us are familiar with Sauvignon Blanc. It's found around the world in different markets. It's got good acidity, nice and crisp on the palate. It has those herbaceous aromas. Us wine nerds call it gooseberry. Some other folks may say it's got a little bit of a cat pee scent, some grassy notes. So that's Sauvignon Blanc. And I believe it's 50% Sauvignon Blanc right here in the Three Witches. Semillon, that may be a new variety for some of you. Semillon is typically found in Bordeaux. It's the second white Bordeaux grape that you find in the Entre-deux-Mers area. It's got a bit of a more full-bodied, almost a bit of a fat feel to it on the mouth, on the palate, and you get lemon notes from Semillon. You get some grapefruit. You get a little bit of some herbaceous, and again, it gives white wine some oomph when it's added, whether it's on its own or, in the case of Three Witches, added in here. The third grape variety that's in here is Gewürztraminer. I know, folks, there was not a spelling test, so thankfully. So Gewürztraminer, German for a little spicy one. It's a bit of a pink-skinned berry. It's often found, we see it a lot here in North America as an off-dry style. Three Witches is a dry wine, 12.5% alcohol, but it is a dry wine, and that's going to be constant throughout the Karlo Estates presentation. You'll see all the wines there are dry, with the exception, of course, of their fortifieds, which we'll get to a little bit later. So 25% Gewürztraminer, 25% Semillon, 50% Sauvignon Blanc, 100% delicious. The wine has seen a little bit of wood, which may be a little unusual for some of you with regards to white wines. However, that body that comes from that Semillon can certainly stand up to it, and it just adds that little bit more of a creamier mouthfeel. So that's all good stuff. So enough of me talking. Let's dive in and see what this smells like. Ah, you can smell that all day. So off the hop, I mean, with this wine, I get citrus, so lemon, lime. I get green apple, peach. I get pink grapefruit pith. So not so much the fruit, but the white skin part, if you were to smell that. A bit of tropical, some mango, some unripe pineapple, a little bit of passion fruit. I get a touch of lychee, and now passion fruit and lychee are typical characteristics of Gewürztraminer. The citrus, as I mentioned earlier on, typical of Sauvignon Blanc and Semillon, so no real surprises here, that everything is coming together in a very harmonious nature. Get a little bit of floral as well, just absolutely, it's summertime in a glass. So let's take a little sip. All right, yes, I am a little bit noisy. I like to inject some air into my sips to try and wake up all the flavors and get everything moving around. So on the palate, again, it's citrusy. That green apple to me is coming through. I get a little white peach. A tropical fruit note comes through again. A little touch of white pepper, which may be from the barrel, or it could actually be from the grape itself, from the Gewürz. And then a little bit of flinty, almost smoke, but more flinty minerality that comes through on the palate. Again, that's, the soil type in Prince Edward County is largely limestone, so that makes tons of sense there. A very creamy mouthfeel. Go back in for one more sip. It's clean, it's refreshing. A little bit of a savory note of maybe thyme. And then again, that minerality comes through just to keep the mouthfeel nice and creamy and clean. This would go well with chips, with hard cheeses, manchego, brie, whether you use vegan styles or not. Butternut squash soup would be good with this. Things that have herb notes, some acidic sauces, pasta primavera, or you can open up that bottle and just enjoy that right on its own. It does not need food. It's very food friendly, but absolutely delicious on its own. So, Karlo Estates, Three Witches, just absolutely loveliness in that glass. We're going to move on to the Riesling. Riesling. Sometimes Riesling gets a bad rap. So this is the Karlo Estates Lake of the Mountain Riesling, 2018. Now, Lake of the Mountain, some folks may be wondering, what does Lake of the Mountain mean? Well, Lake of the Mountain is a separate region in Prince Edward County that stands at about 62 meters above sea level, I believe. It's the highest elevation in Prince Edward County, if I'm not mistaken. And because it's up there and it's above Lake Ontario, it has its own little microclimate, and that allows for grapes up there to develop this very floral kind of notes to them, and they become their own little animal because of the climatic influences that are up there. Riesling itself, perhaps the oldest grape in the world, native to Germany, very high in acid, making it extremely food friendly. Can be dry, off dry, or even in ice wines. Sometimes people will taste a Riesling and it'll be in an off-dry style, and they won't realize that, and they say, "Geez, that's a too sweet for me, so I don't like Riesling." And that can be a bit of a slippery slope when you're tasting wines, because one winemaker's style may not be the end-all to that grape variety. So in this case, we're drinking a dry Riesling, 100% Riesling, again from Lake of the Mountain. Stainless steel ferment, aromatic, light-bodied. Let's go in. Gotta sniff this. So we wake up the wine a little bit, and we get a little bit of that petrol note that we call it. It's not, it's a little flinty, like gun smoke a little bit. And the cat is behind me. That's why that panel is moving, if anyone is wondering. Gerard may say hi, the 14-year-old cat. He's a Karlo Estates fan. He heard about Little Bug and all the creatures that Sherry has there. All right, so petrol, that wet stone, a bit of flint, wildflower, very floral. I get a little grapefruit pith again. Some green tea, lemon lime, and there's a little soft note of honey at the back end. So, great acidity. And when we say acidity, what we're talking about is, makes your mouth water. It's very crisp. It's very vibrant. It's very awake. So, off the hop, I'm getting, golden delicious apple, some Granny Smith apple, lime, little notes of jasmine, ripe grapefruit. I'm going back in for another sip. It's just too good not to. Wow, that's just lip-smackingly fresh, just vibrant. There's this little salinity and just like a little saltiness, but not salty in terms of taking salt out of a salt shaker and putting there, but more of a mineral type salt that's just very nice and soft. And I get this little kiss of honey at the back end on the finish. A lovely, lovely expression of Riesling. Riesling does very well in Ontario, and as I say to a lot of people, there's Ontario wines, and then there's Derek Barnett Karlo Estate wines, and this is a phenomenal expression of that higher tier. I mean, this is what Riesling in Ontario should be. It's not even a matter of what it can be. This is what it should be. So, if I had a hat on, I'd be tipping it to Derek and Sherry on that. What would I pair this with? I'd pair this with Asian stir fry, barbecued peanuts, tempura vegetables, battered fish, anything with a bit of spice, with a bit of heat, anything with a little bit of oil in there, that would just be fantastic. So folks, can you hear me okay? I guess is the big question. If someone out there is still watching, if I could get a little thumbs up-y blue thing that'll go through just to let you know that the volume's okay. Alrighty, got a few. Thank you very much. Sometimes I can over-project. I don't think I've ever been accused of under-projecting. Alrighty then. So, Three Witches, Lake of the Mountain Riesling, and then I guess I should have mentioned this at the start as well. When we talk about Karlo Estates, there's an S on Estates, and that's by design. Karlo gets its grapes one of three ways. They have their estate-grown fruit. They have some fruit that comes in from Niagara that is extremely, extremely carefully selected. And then they've got Lake of the Mountain, which is not their property, but it's in Prince Edward County. They're very stringent about watching over the quality level of that fruit. So when you see Lake of the Mountain, that means it's from Prince Edward County, but it's from that region. And then when you see estate grown on there, of course, that means it's their own fruit. So, any questions off the hop before we move on to the Rosé and then the Van Alstyne White? I'm tilting my head because I'm on my phone. We love Spencer too. We love Derek. Yes, absolutely. Susan Mooney is watching. Hello, Susan. Tammy Short is watching. Wow, fantastic. Good to see you guys. Sherry Karlo, congratulations. Thank you so much, folks. Excellent. So I'm happy to have everyone here. So if you have any questions after this event, feel free to reach out to me on Facebook, or you can email me anytime, paul@somm4all.com, or you can call me. Go old school, pick up the phone, 613-447-WINE. That's 613-447-9463. And I'll repeat that again towards the end. So our third offering is going to be this beautiful bottle of rosé. This is the Karlo Estates Patio Reserve Rosé. And boy, oh boy, is that ever well named. Patio Reserve. This is a wine, as we're going to go through it here, but this is a wine that is just absolutely made for outside sitting. So, you know, we're in lockdown and we're all under bunkerness and all that good stuff, but it doesn't mean we can't get out. So if you have a little chair outside, you have a little glass of this, boy, oh boy, you know, you're having a great day. So we'll see the wonderful color on this. And this is an assemblage style of rosé. And for all you kids that are not familiar with what assemblage means, that's like, you may have heard the term blush. That's where you take a red wine and a white wine and you make them separately and then you put them together. Versus the other type of rosé, which is squeezing the grapes, the red grapes, very gently. Rosé gets its, or red wines and rosés get their color from the pigments in the grape skins. So the softer you squeeze them, the lighter the color, the darker, blah, 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 blah. So we're here to talk about Patio Reserve Rosé. Assemblage, and it's a mix of Semillon, which is that white varietal you heard me talk about earlier in the Three Witches. It's one of these three grapes, the Semillon, that white Bordeaux blend, and, wait for it, hopefully you're all sitting down, Malbec. And I know what some of you are thinking. Malbec from Prince Edward County. He must have started drinking early. Yes, but the more important thing is Karlo Estates does have Malbec. They have the only Prince Edward County grown Malbec right on their property. They've got the right soil type, they've got the right sun exposure and the right climate to get the best out of Malbec. Now, some folks don't realize also that Malbec is a French varietal. It's known as Cot, C-O-T. It's very old. Southwest France and the Cahors region is where Malbec originated. Most of us now think Malbec and we think Argentina because, you know, the LCBO or different places are selling bottles for $8 or $9, and even the higher priced ones we just see Argentina. And they, you know, Argentina can grow Malbec and they can do a very good job of it, but it's actually a French varietal. It's also in Bordeaux, in the Bordeaux region. So, you know, Bordeaux is not freezing cold, but it's not screaming hot either. So Malbec in Prince Edward County, Karlo Estates, it works. So predominantly Semillon, a little bit of Malbec in here. A very dry rosé with those two old world grapes that I mentioned, Malbec and Semillon. You know, drier than most rosés. Extremely food friendly. Very crisp mouthfeel, very fresh on the palate. But at the same time, because of the Semillon, it's got some body. It's a little full. It's one of Karlo's most popular wines. It's easy to see why, if only we had smell-o-vision. Because boy, oh boy. You know, on the nose, red berry, floral. I like to get my schnoz right in there. I get some yellow apple, some lemon citrus, a little bit of white peach on the nose. It just screams summertime. Just screams summertime, outdoor. That's the Montrealer in me. That's 5 à 7 patio weather right there. All right, let's give it another taste. So stainless steel fermentation, 4 months on lees, which is the dead yeast cells, you know, which adds some richness to the wine as well, along with that Semillon. And on the palate, it kind of fakes out your palate. It's very interesting. Because the first sip, you almost think that's going to be a little sweet. And you go, oh, there's some sweetness in there. And then right away it switches, it fools you. And you get right to that nice crispness, that freshness, that dryness. The citrus comes through, some ripe lemon, some ripe lime, wild strawberry. I have to have a little taste. That's just too good. And then there's this nice minerality that just kind of comes over the back. Just after you finish getting all those good flavors going through your mouth, and you just get this nice, clean feeling, and that's from the minerality. It's easy drinking, great for lunch, great for dinner, extremely food friendly. Again, I've said it about 10 times, fantastic for a patio. Once we are done with COVID-19 and we're all able to get together and hang out with people, this is something you want to share with friends. Maybe not, actually. Maybe you want to hoard it all in your basement and tell people you don't have any wine. It's that good you want to keep it to yourself. In terms of food, deep fried foods, Thai curries, Szechuan, jerk foods, anything with a little bit of spice and a little bit of heat. Summer salads, so you could do a strawberry salad with this. It's just fantastic. Just look at that color again. Just absolutely fantastic. Deliciousness in a glass. Can you tell I'm a fan? Alrighty. So that's going to bring us over to number 4 for today, which is the Van Alstyne White. So I'll hold that up for you guys to see. And note, your eyes aren't deceiving you. The bottles didn't shrink. This is a 500 milliliter bottle. The others are all 750s. This bottle is 500 milliliters because it is their fortified wine. So this is going to be on the sweet side. 18% alcohol. I believe it's got about 95 grams of sugar per liter. So that sounds like a lot, but when you consider ice wines go well over 100, 120, 130, 140, this is, the fortified. So I know some of you are sitting there saying, that's great, Paul. What does fortified mean? Well, great question. Thanks for asking, folks. Fortified wine means a port-style wine. So, we've heard of port. Probably most of us have had port. There's a whole laundry list of rules that you have to follow in order to call your wine port. The first being, it has to be made and aged in Portugal. So if it's not in Portugal, you cannot call it port. Much like the French with their champagne rules. There's 317 vineyards and producers in France that fall within a very specific geographical region. Those and those alone are able to call their wine champagne. There's also production steps that you have to follow and aging techniques, and you can follow those outside of that designated region and not be one of those 317 producers. And you can follow everything the same, but you can't call it champagne. You call it sparkling, or you call it cremant. So port, same idea. If it's not aged in Portugal, can't call it port. So fortified wine. And what that essentially means, it's a wine that you make. You make a regular still wine, we call it, or base wine, but you only ferment it to about 8%, maybe 9, but somewhere in that range, low alcohol ABV, and then you fortify it. You add a neutral grape spirit, a neutral alcoholic spirit that has 40, 50, 60% alcohol by volume, depending on the style that you're trying to make, and that then gooses, fortifies the wine. And there you have it, fortified wine. Its name says it all. These folks here at Karlo, for this Van Alstyne White, are using a grape variety called Frontenac Blanc. Now, you may not know what Frontenac Blanc is. You may say, hey, that's a new one. And Frontenac Blanc is part of what we call the cold climate or the hybrid varietals. So Karlo Estates has, I'm going to use the term regular grapes that we all know. So they've got Sauvignon Blanc, and they've got Malbec, and they've got Pinot Noirs, and all that good stuff. But they also use these cold climate hybrid grapes with different names. Frontenac Blanc being one of them. On Tuesday, when we do part 2, we're going to talk about Marquette and what these are grapes that have been developed at the University of Minnesota over time. Some of them less time, some of them are more recent than others. But the University of Minnesota has a great viticulture program, and what they do is they develop grape varieties that can withstand the cold, harsh rigors of cold climates up in the U.S. So they're great in Vermont, they're great in Connecticut, they're great in Minnesota and Wisconsin. But by example, they're also fantastic up here in Canada. They're less labor intensive to produce, to work with. They are just as good. Just because we may not be more familiar with them than some of the vinifera family, like I said, the Sauvignon Blancs and the Pinot Noirs and the Cab Sauves. It doesn't mean that they're bad grape varieties. It doesn't mean that they're terrible or anything like that. It all comes down to the winemaking, to be quite honest. There are some of these wines that I've had. I've had some Frontenac Blanc that I did not like very much. A, it's my palate, and B, it may not have been produced in the best way possible to bring out the best expression of the grape. Much the same way I've also had some Merlot and Cabernet Sauvignon that hasn't been exactly what I wanted to purchase or drink again. Again, part of that being my palate. Everyone's palate is different, so what I like doesn't necessarily line up with what everybody else likes. But also sometimes the grape or the wine is not made in a style or in a way that best reflects the style. So, bottom line, don't be afraid, don't be scared about hearing the term cold climate or hybrid. In this case, this is a run to, don't walk to wine. The first edition of this wine, if I'm not mistaken, and Sherry will correct me on here, I believe, but if I am not mistaken, the first iteration of this wine won the only gold medal at an international intervin competition. So award-winning wine right out of the gates. I believe it's been referred to as heaven in a glass by a very well-respected wine agent duo, the Wine Sisters, located, I believe, in the GTA area. Heaven in a glass. It's easy to see why. This is estate-grown fruit, so again, grapes grown right on the property. They took their time with this. The yeast is given time to convert all the sugars to alcohol that it needs until they were happy with the sweetness level. It's fortified. It's barrel-aged in French oak for 18 months. So this is a bit of a labor of love, and it shows. On the nose, heaven in a glass, well named. I get lovely almond notes. I get fresh apricot. I get some ripe grilled pineapple, and that's pretty specific, but that's what comes to mind. Just you can smell those caramelized sugar, but of the pineapple. There's little hints of rose. It just smells juicy. Just smells lush. I'm going in. And I just swish everything around. I guess I should have explained that at the beginning. The nerdy folks like me, what we like to do is we like to take a sip and then we swish it all around our mouths. And the reason for that is A, it makes us look pretentious. It makes us feel good about telling people that we're sommeliers, and who doesn't like to be pretentious. But the real reason is to coat your entire mouth, because you've got different flavor receptors located throughout your tongue and throughout your mouth, and you can feel, and that's when you take the sommelier courses, you train your palate to pick up on the different flavors and different feelings throughout your mouth. So you coat the gums, you coat your tongue, and that's why I do it. Plus it makes me look cool. So, wow, that's lovely. So definitely, it's sweet, but it's not a sugar bomb. Tropical fruit. I get that grilled pineapple comes through right again. Citrus, that lemon lime, almond, marzipan, hazelnut. It's soft. It's delicious. The finish has this nice balance of acidity, and I said earlier on, acidity is that freshness and crispness. So although it's sweet, it's not what I want to say is cloying. You don't feel like you've just licked a sugar cube or swallowed a sugar cube. It's nice and fresh, but it is a sweet wine. This is something that would work very well as an aperitif. I believe Somm4All Karlo, the vintner and owner, has said it's great to warm people up and to get the party started. And I know Sherry loves a party, so I would agree 100% with that. So you could have this straight up as an aperitif. You could also mix a little bit of club soda or seltzer water in there. I've gotten in the habit of, in the warmer temperatures, I throw a little bit of a frozen peach in there with some club soda. That makes a great, almost Bellini style drink. And then of course it's wonderful as a dessert wine as well. So if you're having anything sweet, you're having creme brulee, you're having a cheesecake, this would just go phenomenal with that. So I'm going back in for another taste. Wow, fantastic stuff. So 4 quality premium wines from Prince Edward County. Somm4All Karlo at the helm. No surprise that we have quality here. Derek Barnett and Spencer Meyer, the dynamic duo winemaking team. It says it all. Again, I really wish we had smell-o-vision or taste-o-vision. Maybe that's coming next. So I think we're just over the 20-minute mark. I'm about to wrap this up. I want to thank everyone again for taking the time to join in. This is the first and what I hope is several parts. Part 2 will be Tuesday at 7 p.m. right here, same bat channel, same bat time. on Facebook, and we're going to go through the Karlo Reds. I'll do a very quick overview on Karlo. I won't get as detailed into the history of Karlo, and then we'll jump through. We have some amazing stuff. If you have the time, you do not want to miss that one. Some fantastic, fantastic stuff in there. Now, how do you get these wines? All right, so very easy. If you're in Eastern Ontario, you call Paul. Very easy. If you're in Prince Edward County and you're within drivable distance in these extraordinary times, Sherry and Sachs and the Karlo Estates team, they're all set up for you. They've got what they call their white glove service. You place your order by phone ahead of time, you pay for the order, you drive up, Sachs comes out, he's got his white gloves on, he's got his shorts on, maybe his tennis shoes, everything's been sterilized, and he throws that right into your vehicle and off you go. Easy peasy. If you're throughout the rest of Ontario, Karlo does ship. You can, for simplicity's sake, regardless of where you are in Ontario, you can send me an email, paul@somm4all.com, or old school, 613-447-WINE, 613-447-9463. Or through Facebook or through Instagram or through Twitter, you can DM me, and I'll help facilitate getting that order out to you. Karlo Estates, located at 561 Danforth Road in Wellington, Ontario, Prince Edward County. Call them directly if you'd like, 613-399-3000. Couldn't be simpler to get deliciousness, premium wines in your glass. Again, these are crazy times. The least we can do is make sure that we're drinking quality. If you have recommendations for any other local Eastern Ontario businesses that you think would benefit from having me talk about them, by all means, reach out. I believe that we are truly all in this together, and it's only by being together and staying together that we'll get through this. We're better together. Certainly when you support Karlo Estates, it's a 2-for-1 deal. When you support Karlo Estates in Eastern Ontario, you're supporting two local businesses, Karlo Estates and Somm4All. As a wine agent for them, I do get a little cut of the pie. But in an effort to give back, I'm certainly happy to talk about some other products. And I do know we have some. I have some breweries that are excited about this. There's a cidery that I'm working with. So hopefully we get some series, and hopefully that we can just instill how important it is in these extraordinary times to really, really support local, to buy local, to drink local. I'd like to thank everyone again for joining us. I'm having some trouble reading because my phone is sideways to film this. So if you've asked me some questions that I haven't answered, I will answer them directly after this broadcast is done. Tuesday, 7 p.m., same bad time, same bad channel. We'll go through this again. Thank you again, folks, and don't forget, make sure if you haven't said hi and checked in with me yet, please do so here to get this wonderful Founders Corkscrew. This will be the last one you will ever need, guaranteed. This is phenomenal, phenomenal quality. And you can also join in part 2 to get your name in the draw. Have a wonderful Sunday afternoon. Thank you for spending the time with me. Cheers from Somm4All.